Hello and happy summer! Outdoor projects are on the docket here at the House of Wood, and in today's video I'm going to show you how we built this transforming pergola hammock stand / outdoor movie screen. It's a working title. This was such a fun project that came together just beautifully thanks to SIMPSON Strong Tie's Outdoor Accents hardware line. Before we jump into the video, take a look at our previous hammock situation. It's pretty sad. I think we could do better than that, and it shouldn't take much effort at all. And stay tuned for a fun cameo appearance by a very special guest. So let's get into the video. The first thing we had to do was call 811 to make sure there were no utility lines or cables running underground where we would need to dig to set the posts. The utility companies came out, flagged where the cables were, which is nowhere near where we'll be digging, so we're in the clear. We mapped out the location of the 6x6 posts by laying the hammock down on the ground and kind of eyeballing things. Our hammock is 12 feet long, so we decided that the posts should be about 13 feet apart. I'll be sure to link the two-person hammock we used down below. We borrowed an auger from our good friend Josh, and Adam got to digging. He dug down about 2 feet deep, making the hole about 10 inches in diameter. Then he poured a little paver base down in the bottom and tamped it down. Then we dropped the posts down into the hole and used a level to make sure it was level and plumb. Next, we used some scrap 2x4s and stakes to brace the posts in place so that we could pour the concrete. We poured dry concrete mix down into the hole and added some water and mixed it around until it was a peanut butter consistency. You could also mix the concrete in a wheelbarrow, which we've done before, but we figured this way might save us some time. I'm not sure if it did, but either way, it worked. Then we gave the concrete a few days to cure. Meanwhile, we got to working on cutting out the pergola parts. I don't know, would you call this a pergola? It's a transforming hammock stand / outdoor movie screen hanging thing. Wow, words are hard. Anyway, you know what I mean. When setting the posts, we had to make sure that they were both facing the same way, meaning one wasn't twisting in a different direction. The faces of the 6x6s were parallel so that when we attach the beams overhead, everything will lay flat and even. We used all pressure-treated lumber for this project, and it normally wouldn't be that expensive, but because lumber prices are absolutely absurd these days, we ended up paying around $600 just for the materials. By the way, I've drawn up the plans for this project, and you can download them from jenwoodhouse.com. All of the links for the tools and materials are in the description, so you can check them out, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe button while you're at it. Also, SIMPSON Strong Tie has recently created a free software program where you can design your dream pergola or pavilion, and it tells you all the materials you'll need, taking all of the guesswork out of it. The program is pretty intuitive, so it's easy to learn. You don't have to have any experience in drawing or CAD program or anything like that, so I'll leave a link to that pergola planner software in the description box. For the beams, we used a couple of 16-foot 2x12 boards. We first cut them to length with my track saw, and then we started cutting the notches. I like how this design has notches in both the beams and the rafters, so everything should fit together like a puzzle. We clamp the beams together so that we can make our cuts, and the notches will line up. Then we just popped out the slivers and cleaned up the cuts with a chisel. This part was super satisfying and fun. Follow me for more ASMR videos. Just kidding. Whichever circular saw you're using, make sure it's big enough to make these deep cuts. Next, we cut the 2x12 rafters to length and clamped them all together so that we could cut the notches all at the same time. This not only makes for more efficient work, but our cuts will be more precise too. And don't be like Adam, wear a dust mask because this pressure-treated stuff is nasty. Now that the notches are cut, it's time for more ASMR. Pop those slivers out and hear that cracking sound. It's so satisfying. So satisfying. Then I used a jigsaw to cut the curves on the rafters as well as the beams. I'm so glad we added this curved detail because it makes the whole structure so much prettier. Once the first cut was made, I was able to use it as an outline for the rest of the rafters. Lather, rinse, repeat, etc., and then I just hand sanded the edges smooth. This rafter tail design is called a Roosevelt step. You can download and print out the template as well. You are welcome. I want you to build this and tag me on social media so I can see your work. If you've watched a few of my other videos, you know that I love SIMPSON Strong Tie's Outdoor Accents hardware line. These black powder-coated connectors really do make building an outdoor structure like this one so easy, super strong, and so beautiful. Once the concrete set around the posts, it's time to trim the height of the posts. We measured one post to 8 feet tall and marked it, and then tied a string from that post to the other, hung a level on it to make sure the other post would be level and even, and then made our mark. Because the ground is so uneven, we had to cut the posts at different lengths for everything to match up. We used a circular saw to make those cuts, but you could also use a reciprocating saw or even a chainsaw if you wanted to. On one of the posts, we actually had to break out the reciprocating saw because the circular saw didn't cut all the way through. All right, we've got the beams and the rafters cut. Now it's time to cut the angled braces. These are also 6x6s like the posts. Adam first used a reciprocating saw to cut the 45-degree angle on each end, but we found it was taking a little too long, so he switched to a circular saw to try to speed up the process and then finished up with a recip saw. He initially wanted to use a chainsaw because it would be faster, but I admit I didn't have much faith in his chainsaw prowess. But he proved me wrong, he made the cut, and it was accurate enough. Because there are curves on the beams and rafters, I wanted the braces to match that look, but I don't have a tool in my shop to make these curved cuts on a 6x6 safely, even with Adam being a chainsaw master, so I hit up my friend Bob from I Like to Make Stuff, and he offered up his bandsaw for this. So we took a fun field trip down to the official I Like to Make Stuff workshop. This thing is heavy. But the problem is the last time I touched a bandsaw was 7th grade shop class, so hopefully Bob can give me a crash course on how to use a bandsaw safely. Hey!
How are you?
Thank you so much for helping me. Good,
of course.
Good.
Yeah.
This is my friend Bob, and you probably already know who he is because he's kind of a big deal. He runs the channel I Like to Make Stuff here on YouTube, and you can learn how to make stuff from coding to 3D printing to life-size R2-D2. So he is here to help me cut these curves in these 6x6s.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, the good thing at a bandsaw is that you're controlling the material instead of the saw, right? So that's one of the big differences from like a circular saw, where you're controlling the saw through the wood.
Right.
This, you're moving the material and you have a little bit more control, so it's good to get curves. And because of the height of the saw, the throat of it, you can actually cut a lot taller stuff, which is why we're going to use it for these. But basically, you just turn it on and push it through.
Are you going to show me the...
I can, yeah. You want to practice
scared.
on something small?
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
let's do that.
Bob, it's a huge help.
Of course. Anytime.
You're good enough of it. We're good. Now that all the parts are cut out, assembly will go really fast. We were able to put this thing together in just a few hours. But first, I stained the pieces with an exterior grade stain. I wanted an opaque color that complemented our house, and so I just brushed it on and let it dry, and it only took one coat. It would have been faster to use my paint sprayer, but I was too lazy to do the whole prep and setup required. After a few hours of brushing on this finish, I was regretting that decision. I probably have carpal tunnel now. Perfect. Okay, it's assembly time. We measured the height placement of the strong tie connectors and screwed them on. The structural wood screws and the hex head washers look like a bolted connection, but installation is as easy as driving a screw. I love the chunky look it has too. These connectors are not only beautiful, but structural. This is the deck joist tie from the Mission collection. They're heavy duty, strong, structurally sound, and just gorgeous. And you don't have to pre-drill when using these structural wood screws, which saves time and effort. We screwed the joist ties onto the posts and hoisted the beams into place, then secured them with more structural screws and hex head washers. Next, it was a matter of dropping the rafters into each notch. Now, most of these went in without any issue, but there were a couple that we had to widen the notch to accommodate the rafter. Adam did this with a reciprocating saw. Then we added the 90-degree angles for added security. Finally, we attached the braces with the same structural wood screws and hex head washers. We used a Forstner bit to countersink the holes at the bottom of the braces so that the hex head washers would sit inset into the 6x6. And then we secured the top of the brace and added the decorative rosettes. Simpson Strong Tie has just come out with these new decorative post bases, so the bottom of our pergola hammock / movie screen will look finished and beautiful too. The 4 parts screw together easily and wrap around the base of the post. Another new Strong Tie product is this bottle opener, because we need to have a drink while we're laying in the hammock, right? I mean, if we're gonna live this life, we're gonna live it well. For the hammock hardware, Adam used a long drill bit to drill all the way through the post, and then inserted a bolt with some washers and a nut to secure everything. Then we hooked on a couple of S-hooks and hung the hammock up. For the retractable movie screen, we screwed a couple of hooks at the top so we can easily hang it up when we want to switch it out. Thanks again to our sponsor, Simpson Strong Tie, for helping us bring this project to life. We absolutely love how it turned out. Their Outdoor Accents line made this whole structure come together quickly and easily. As always, you can find more details on jenwoodhouse.com, and until then, I will see you in the next video.